Manish, let me address this issue that we just heard there from Hitendra in terms of organizations being more listening, being more empathetic and actually trying to change the culture, change policies to ensure that you bring in more women and you retain more women and you create a culture of meritocracy. I know you've made this a C-suite priority for you and there's already been a fair amount of work that's gone in there. What's worked? What hasn't?
Sure. Just before, like you said, Shireen, it isn't every day that you get to be on a panel like this. I'm equal parts proud and nervous to be here. So for starters, I think it first starts from absolutely from the top, right? It wasn't until I joined Godrej over 3.5 years ago that the appreciation came through that diversity goes much, much beyond gender. It goes to religion, sexual orientation, just parts of the country you're from. And for you to accept that if you're going to stand out for innovation, it's never going to come from a bunch of folks who all look and talk and sound the same. So like you said, right, it's not just the right thing to do, it's the smart thing to do. And I think, again, like you said, as much as we love the idea of a silver bullet, we've yet to find one. And if we could break it up into 3 parts in how we're trying to address it, and we had the opportunity at Godrej Capital because we were starting from scratch. So we had sort of the help from the group, we had people to learn from and role model from. For example, in the FMCG business, Godrej Consumer has 40% of the board are women. Long before it became a mandate, the rest of the country moved from, I think, 5 or 6 to 3 times that is already at 40. So there was a high benchmark already set. But as we got to doing it, we figured that it's hard work. So in our case, just three things that we've looked at working with. First, you need representation and real representation. One of the risks that we all run in corporate India is we can tick the boxes, we can meet the numbers. Representation for us means seat at the table. So for us, in my management team, 50% are women. So it's like right down the middle, half and half. It starts there but doesn't stop there. It's got to go to CXO -1. Again, their numbers are similar. But again, like we spoke earlier, as getting the leadership team through the door is the start. Once leadership is in, it's been a struggle and it's been, again, a lot of hard work, part of our teams here. You've got to expand the top of the funnel. If I'm a middle-level, hiring manager, I've got 5 people to hire and I've got 10 resumes to hire them from. And if you only if 9 of the 10 are men, and then you expect me to meet 40–50%, how am I going to manage that? And there are ways to do that, right? Careers 2.0, you've got to look harder. So part one, representation and seat at the table. Part 2 is just ease of doing business. So in financial services, so many of our policies are, old boys club led. For example, we've just got crazy end of month, end of quarter, late nights. And so often when you get the policies right for women, it's the right thing to do for the company. For instance, it's just par for the course to be sitting up through midnight, end of quarters, burning the midnight oil, getting it done. Level 1, you solve for saying, just do the right thing, get the cab going, trusted, late night providers, etc. But level 2 is saying, hang on a second. Yeah. If we're new age, aren't we going to get better? Shouldn't everybody just go home at a decent hour? Yeah. And last not least, actually, is how you facilitating growth. So, folks spoke about coaching and networks internally, so I won't talk any more about that, but there are a few programs there. But one example I'd love to give is very, very often women growing in organizations, mobility has been a problem. It's perfectly normal for the spouse, the wife, to follow the husband if he's moving up, but doesn't always work the other way around. So why must you always have to move to head office if you're going to take the promotion or let it go? The country is pretty much an equal market. Those of us who are in retail businesses, every leader doesn't have to sit in the same building. So if you're based elsewhere, and we've loved the fact that we've been able to promote folks in saying you run the larger job, travel as you need to, as all of us do, but you don't need to move. No, so I think a few of these things.